Hi everyone, thanks for joining today's webinar. So my name is Greg Collins, the Senior Product Marketing Manager here at Progress's WhatsUp Gold, and today we're diving into a topic that's often overlooked until it's actually too late. This is around SSL or TLS certificate outages. So we've all seen the headlines, major outages caused by expired or misconfigured certificates. These incidents are costly, damaging, and most importantly, they're actually preventable. That's why today's session is called The Outage You Didn't See Coming. Because if you're not proactively discovering and monitoring your certificates, you're leaving your digital assets vulnerable. I'm also joined by my colleague Jason Alberino, who's a Principal Product Manager here at WhatsUp Gold. Jason will join the webinar a little bit later to give a demo of the new WhatsUp Gold Certificate Discovery and Monitoring functionality that was recently released as part of the 2025 version of WhatsUp Gold. So before we start, I just want to give an overview of some quick webinar housekeeping. If you can't hear us, try connecting to computer audio, not phone audio. If you have any questions, please submit them in the questions panel on the right hand side of your screen. We do have some time allotted at the end to answer any and all questions. And then finally, this session will be recorded and distributed after, so there's no need to record it yourself. So with that out of the way, I'll kick off today's session with a brief rundown of the agenda. So I will be giving an overview of what certificate discovery and monitoring is as a concept, why it's important or why you should care about it. I'll also be giving some real-world examples and benefits of why you need it within your own environment. I'm going to keep that fairly brief, as I'll then be passing the floor across to my colleague Jason, who'll be giving a demonstration of the certificate discovery and monitoring feature, followed by a Q&A session. So let's start with the basics. What is certificate discovery and monitoring? Well, certificate discovery and monitoring is about gaining full visibility and control over your SSL or TLS certificates across your entire IT environment. It's made up of a few key pillars, but for the sake of this webinar, I'm going to focus on three. First up is automated discovery. So when discovering and monitoring certificates, it's important to scan your entire infrastructure, on-prem, hybrid, and cloud, in order to locate every certificate in use. We don't want any more blind spots and no more overlooked assets. This is foundational for visibility. At the end of the day, you can't protect what you can't see. Secondly, we have real-time monitoring. So once discovered, you need to continuously track certificate status, usage, expiration dates, and configuration health. Just a reminder that this isn't a one-time scan, it's a living inventory that adapts to changes within your own environment. And finally, proactive alerts. You must stay ahead of issues, whether it's an impending expiration, a weak cipher suite, or a misconfiguration. With WhatsUp Gold, you'll get timely, customizable alerts before it becomes a problem for you or end users. So why is certificate discovery and monitoring important? Because certificate-related outages are silent killers. They don't announce themselves until your users can't access your services, your APIs may fail, or your security posture is compromised. So with proactive certificate management, you can avoid security risks. SSL and TLS certificates are foundational to secure communication. When they expire or are misconfigured or use outdated cryptographic standards, they open the door to serious vulnerabilities like man-in-the-middle attacks, for example. So without valid certificates, attackers can intercept and manipulate data between users and services. They also could lead to data breaches. So expired or weak certificates can lead to unauthorized access to sensitive information. Or it could even be something as simple as loss of trust. Browsers and applications will flag your site or service as insecure, damaging your brand reputation. Proactive monitoring ensures that every certificate is up to date, properly configured, and using strong encryption, so you're not leaving any gaps in your security posture. Next up is the ability to maintain compliance. So many industries, whether that be finance, healthcare, or government, have strict regulations around data protection and encryption. Things like PCI DSS, HIPAA, or GDPR, and others require secure communication channels. Expired or misconfigured certificates can result in non-compliance, leading to fines, audits, and legal exposure. Certificate monitoring helps you to maintain a complete and accurate inventory, ensure all certificates meet compliance standards, and also to generate audit-ready reports with minimal effort. At the end of the day, it's not just about avoiding penalties, it's about building a resilient and trustworthy infrastructure. And then finally, preventing downtime. So certificate-related outages are often silent until they're catastrophic. A single expired certificate can bring down a whole website, API, or an internal service. These outages can take hours, or even days to diagnose and resolve, especially if the certificate is buried in a microservice or a legacy system. So with real-time monitoring, as I mentioned, and automated alerts, you can catch issues before they actually happen, avoid service disruptions, and maintain business continuity. This is especially critical for customer-facing services where downtime directly impacts revenue and end-user experience. One thing I want to highlight before I hand it across to Jason for the demo is the WhatsUp Gold YouTube channel. So on there we have hundreds of videos on topics all across IT infrastructure monitoring. We have webinars, how-to guides, quick tip videos, and everything in between. So I'd encourage you to stop by, subscribe to the channel, and let us know if there are any videos you'd like to see. And without further ado, I'll now let Jason give a run through of the certificate discovery and monitoring functionality. Thanks to everyone for listening to my portion. Over to you, Jason.
Hi everyone, it's Jason Alberino, Principal Product Manager at Progress, and today we're going to talk about the certificate discovery and monitoring in WhatsUp Gold. So I'm starting out here on docs.progress.com just to show you. If you click the WhatsUp Gold tile here, you'll end up at all of our documentation, release notes, help files, getting started, and a bunch of additional information available for you there. I'm going to dive right into a demonstration of this feature here, and I'm going to lay out a scenario here. So let's picture I'm a network admin, and I come into work every day, I look at this dashboard, and everything's green and healthy, and everything's good. Well, this is where our certificate discovery and monitoring is going to come in. There are some hidden problems here that aren't serviced immediately. So as part of our WhatsUp Gold 25 release, anytime you run a discovery, now systems are going to be checked to see if they have a certificate associated with them on port 443. So I'm going to rescan my production systems group here. And this type of scan actually doesn't require credentials. So I'm going to, for speed purposes, I'm going to say don't scan these with credentials, just go scan them, and I could ignore that error message. And then I'm just going to hit run. So while the discovery is running, I'll talk a bit more about the certificate discovery and how to also customize it. So really how this works is under settings, libraries, and then monitors. WhatsUp Gold has what's called an SSL certificate monitor. So if I go create a new active monitor and search for SSL, you'll see that you can do this by URL or by file. So this one that's built in on port 443 is simply doing HTTPS and then the device host name or IP address. So you have options here. You can look at when the certificate expires. So this will determine the monitor's up or down based on how far away it is from its expiration date. And then you could also check it against its common name versus the URL domain. So every certificate has what's called a common name, and that's quite literally like whatsupgold.com, for example. As long as your URL and certificate match, then it will be checked successfully. Now in my environment, you see I have a lot of self-signed certificates. Even this WhatsUp Gold server is just a self-signed certificate, which is always considered not secure by the browser simply because of the nature of them. Well, if you're signing them yourself, how do we know who you are? But you see this expires next year. Typically self-signed certificates are good for a year, but even when this one expires, I could have issues accessing the site. If depending on your browser security and system security settings, you cannot proceed to sites with expired certificates. So this discovery is almost done here. I'll dig in a little bit more on the actual discovery aspect. So that monitor is used as part of the discovery. So while WhatsUp Gold is scanning your systems, it's checking it to see if it meets any of these different criteria we have defined in the roles and sub-roles library. This one called SSL certificate here, if I edit it, you'll see it's quite literally just looking to see if TCP port 443 is open, and if it is, it's trying to add our certificate monitor. Now, what's really great about WhatsUp Gold is it's very customizable. So maybe you have certificates on other ports and you want to scan other things automatically. You absolutely can do that. You just have to add a rule here, and I'll do that right now live. I'll say TCP port is open, and I'll say check 8443, and we'll give it that same timeout of 30 seconds. So if either one of these is open, we can add well, this one's just 8443, right? It says check support first. Well, I already need a monitor for 8443. I can't just assign this automatically, so I have to go back for a sec here. And we're going to go to our monitors, and I'm literally going to copy this, and we're going to put 8443 at the end, and we're going to call this 8443, and I can use in rescan, that's fine. And you see now that monitor exists. I'll go back to my device template library here, edit this again, and add that monitor. And now the next time I run that discovery, it's also going to check 8443 and add that as a monitor if it finds it on any systems. And that's the beauty of this, is you don't have to know where those certificates are. Now that my discovery is done, go back over to my network and we can see we have some down monitors here. So let's go over to our dashboard again, and oh no, we have some problems, right? And that's what this can surface, is really those hidden problems that are harder to detect, especially if you don't know, is there a certificate on the system? Now you're going to be able to discover them automatically, monitor them automatically, and not every certificate has the same level of criticality, let's say. There could be ones you don't care about, and there's going to be ones you definitely care deeply about. So let's say lay out a scenario and say, well, let's imagine that I didn't care about this device's certificate. Like, it doesn't matter to me, I don't need to know about it. All you need to do in WhatsUp Gold is select that and say disable, and you never have to worry about it ever again. Now that's disabled. It's not going to be pulled every 60 seconds, and you'll enjoy a good night's sleep not being notified by things you don't care about. Now, all this said, really the most critical issue is typically public-facing websites. So for example, if the certificate on whatsupgold.com were to expire, well, customers coming to the site would see certificate errors warnings, like they would be scared away from the site. And that's why these, especially in a public-facing scenario, they're very important. But there's also some hidden ones, like you might have applications or services that have APIs in the background that have certificates, and they expect them to pass without certificate errors. And that's something to keep in mind, is really anything that makes this say not secure is a certificate error in some sort of way. That includes expiration, common name mismatch, and many other scenarios. Okay, so hopefully this was helpful. I will turn it over for any questions. Thank you. All right, everyone. Just looking through the questions here. Give me a moment and start working through answering them. We'll start at the very top here. Can WhatsUp Gold monitor certificates across cloud platforms like AWS or Azure? Oh, yeah, absolutely it can. The catch is it needs to have some sort of access to those systems from wherever your WhatsUp Gold server's installed, whether it be LAN, WAN, or over the internet. As long as it can reach there, it absolutely can monitor certificates across cloud platforms. Another one here. What types of alerts can be configured for certificate expiration? Good question. So there's actually multiple different options. So WhatsUp Gold has what we call an action system. So anytime a monitor goes from, let's say, up to down, it changes state in some way, you could tie an action to it. But that action could be anything from email to SMS to a script, maybe some corrective action. So integration is definitely possible with ticketing systems and things like that as well. All right, so we do have some poll questions here, and I'd like to ask one of those poll questions now if we can. Greg, can you help us with that, please? Thank you. So the question here really is, do you currently utilize any tools for certificate management? So did you know about this potential problem, or do you already have a solution for this, or are you already doing some form of tracking is really what we're asking here. So we'll give that about 5 to 10 seconds for people to answer, and we'll go back to questions here. I see a lot more rolling in, and please feel free to keep them rolling in as we work through here. Any WhatsUp Gold question is okay. So back to our questions. does the certificate monitoring feature support wildcard and SAN certificates? The answer is generally yes. So the monitor itself doesn't really care what type of certificate it is, so long as it could reach it in some sort of way, we're able to track the expiration date and against the common name and alert upon that as well. Can certificate monitoring be integrated with SIEM or ITSM tools? Yeah, absolutely. That kind of goes back to one of the earlier questions around the action system. Because WhatsUp Gold is highly customizable, technically speaking, you can integrate with anything you choose. We do have some out-of-the-box integrations available to you, and I'd encourage you to go out to our documentation site and you can look through the actions and what is available to you. All right, we have another poll question. Mr. Collins, if you could help me that once again, please. So the question here is, how long does it take you to rotate your certificates? So if you already have this problem, know about this problem in some way, obviously you have to replace some sort of certificate every so often. The question is, well, how long does that take you right now? Is it just a day? Is it few certificates? Or does it take months because it's thousands of certificates? Give everyone a few moments to get their answers in there. All right, and back to questions. Is there a way to automate certificate renewal or at least trigger renewal workflows? Yeah, so this is a very good question, and that's the immediate expectation, right? Well, monitoring it is one thing, but being able to actually go renew it in some sort of way is a completely different thing. Again, we do have the ability to kick off actions in WhatsUp Gold, but that's really on a one-off basis. We'd like to begin exploring how we might do that en masse for a large amount of certificates that have to be managed. All right. How does proactive certificate monitoring contribute to overall IT compliance and audit readiness? Generally speaking, it is one of those things that is expected to be monitored, right? So let's say, for example, you're a large company who has a significant outage due to a certificate expiration. And let's say your company lost a ton of money or market share in relation to that. And historically speaking, this has actually happened, but imagine being that person in that scenario and the CEO asks you, why didn't we replace this certificate on time? I don't want to be the one to answer that question, but the just ignoring compliance factors, even like internally proving IT's worth, this would look terrible for anyone where you did have an outage for something that could be monitored for, can be tracked, and things along those lines. All right, and we have one more poll question. I'll get to all of your questions after that, Mr. Collins. So this is the last one. How many certificates are you responsible for managing? And we gave some limited options there, and that's very intentional. So I'm guessing a lot of these will end up at less than 10 or more than 50. And interesting. So we do get some feedback here, and for those curious, in the lead is 11 to 25. Second to that is 50 plus. So I'm actually surprised by that result. A lot of you are managing quite a few certificates. Okay, let's go ahead and get to the rest of your questions. So let's see. Are there any upcoming enhancements planned for certificate monitoring in future releases? So generally speaking, I can't share too much information in a public webinar. I can't say, yes, we are planning some things. What I would encourage everyone to do is, especially if you're already a customer, join our customer validation program. It's free to join, you just have to request, but that's where we share a lot more insight into the things we're working on in the future. All right, so let's keep going through the questions here. Are the same certificate capabilities available in both the browser and application? So WhatsUp Gold is actually mostly just managed through the web. I'm guessing that's what the question is. You might need to clarify a bit for me, but in terms of what type of certificate WhatsUp Gold's capable of discovering and monitoring, it's really any type of certificate, as long as it's either accessible over HTTPS or accessible by file, right? That's the other option. As long as you meet those criteria, you'll be able to use WhatsUp Gold to find your certificates and monitor them. We have different certificates based on what IP address you are accessing for the same host name. Can we monitor multiple certificates under one host name? The answer is yes, but there would have to be some catches there and probably some caveats. If you can, actually we'll reach out to you after the webinar here and get some clarifying information. We'll be able to help you along there. Generally speaking, I would say yes to that question. Let's see. Someone's asking where to find the option to discover certificates within the scan. So there's a few different criteria for this. You have to install at least WhatsUp Gold version 25.0. We released that in June. So once you have that installed, it just happens automatically when you do a scan. You don't have to do anything special to enable this. It's something that's automatically enabled for you once you upgrade. So once you're on a version that has it, you simply run that discovery scan and it will automatically add the monitor for you. Just like you saw during my demonstration, you can also tell it to scan more ports and different places for certificates as well. It's extensible, but it's all happening automatically through that SSL certificate device template. As long as you see that in your library, you'll know it's working for you. If you don't see that in your library, more than likely you need to upgrade to the latest release. Someone asks, sorry if I missed this, but does it require a separate license? We didn't talk about it, so you didn't miss it, but no, it does not. This functionality is included with all WhatsUp Gold licenses. If you have a WhatsUp Gold license, this functionality is included with it. Can it validate SAN as well, or do you match, or will it match and fail at the CN alone? Yeah, it's really looking at the common name alone there, but again, it is extensible in a way where if you needed it to look at those alternative names as well, we would be able to help you with customization there. Let's see. IMS test setup. Is there a tutorial on the YouTube page? There is actually. We did our 25 release webinar. I believe that's out there where we talk about this, but there's also documentation and dedicated video, and there will be a recording of this webinar where there's a demonstration showing exactly what you need to do step by step to get it accomplished. What about monitoring something like an SSO connection through an IDP X509 certificate expiration rather than actual hostname type certificate? Again, that should be possible, but if it's not accessible over HTTP or HTTPS, you need to provide the file, which in that case, we won't be discovering it. You would need to provide us the information to begin monitoring it. Let's see. I think I made it through all the questions. Wow, a lot of great questions, and thanks so much for the participation from everyone. Looks like we will wrap it up here, and I hope to speak with you all more in the future. Have a good rest of your day.